Well, good morning and God bless you. For the next few sessions, I want to talk a little bit about some books that I've written and why they can be a blessing to you and your family and your children. Uh, I have had a long project in life where I have created a series of children's books. Uh, they are called Sunny Valley Adventures, and they are 11 books that teach on the Ten Commandments, and there's a book on Jesus being the Good Shepherd. And I felt like it was something that I was supposed to do a while back, and it took me a long time to get them done because I had to hire artists and do other things to be able to get them together and publish them and get them printed. So when you see all these books behind me, that's what they are. They're a set of books ready to go out and to be in your home where you can read them to your children. They can read them and look at all the great pictures and learn about the commandments. Have them written on their hearts, and they can learn that Jesus is the Good Shepherd. Now, why would I do that? Why would I write them? Why are they valuable to you? I'll just take one at a time, and we'll see if we can't, since there are 11 books, let's see if we can come up with 11 ideas on why these will be a blessing to you. I'd like to give you reason number one. And with that, before we get started, I just want to show you the first book in the series. This is on the first commandment, which is to have no other gods before me. And as you can see, we'll just open it up. We have some great pictures and the stories rhyme. So, what's a good reason to teach your children the Ten Commandments? Well, the first reason is that God taught them to his own children. You see, when God told Abraham that he was going to create a mighty nation out of them, he said that they would be enslaved in Israel.
Did he say Israel? Wasn't it supposed to be Egypt?
Sounds like something I'd do. Don't worry about it, son. It's kind of hard to bat 1,000 for 400 years, and then he would come and set them free. And when he did, he was going to bring them into a promised land, and they would be his people. They would be his children. Once he did bring them out of Egypt, he gathered them together 50 days later at Pentecost at the Mount Sinai, and God himself came down and gave them these commandments and other statutes and laws, but he gave them these commandments in particular. What made it unusual was that he spoke them himself. Then he took his own finger and carved these commandments into stone and gave them to Moses. And then when he had a mercy seat that would allow him to forgive people of their sins and allow him to commune with them, he put them in that box. He put them in the mercy seat box, along with Aaron's rod that budded, and along with a jar of manna when he was feeding them out in the desert. So on Pentecost, he came down and he gave them these commandments. He told them himself. So I'd like to read it to you. It's out of Exodus 19 and 20, and it's very dramatic. So he says, I'm going to show up. Everybody gets to see God that day. Wow. Verse 16 says, on the third day, when it was morning, there was thunder and lightning and flashes and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and a very loud trumpet sounded. And it says, all the people trembled. I would too. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Verse 18, it says, now Mount Sinai was all in smoke because the Lord descended upon it in fire. And its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked violently. I think he was trying to get their attention. Exodus 20 verse 1 says, then God spoke all these words, saying, So he didn't tell Moses. He didn't tell another prophet. God said, I'm going to tell this myself. And he said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And that's what God does for us. He brings us out of the slavery of sin so that we can be in his family. And then he said, you shall have no other gods before me. So that was the first commandment. That's what we teach in this book. So it's a great little rhyming book on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And it teaches how not to have any other gods before him. And then in verse 18 of Exodus 20, it says, all the people perceived the thunder and the lightning flashes and the sound of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it and they trembled. So in other words, God says they caught his message. They perceived it. The very reason he gave it to them. And then in verse 20 it says, Moses said to the people, do not be afraid, for God has come in order to test you, in order that the fear of him may remain with you, so that you may not sin. And then in verse 22, then the Lord said to Moses, thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, you yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from heaven. And in every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. That's what God really wants. He wants the relationship, and he wants you blessed. And then finally, God himself in Deuteronomy 5:29 said this, oh, that they should have a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it may go well with them and their sons forever. So the first reason we ought to teach them to our children and have them in our heart is because God taught them to his children. And he wants them to have them in their heart, that it would help them not to sin against God, but it would be their perspective of life, their filter for life, to be able to make correct judgments of this is good and this is something we ought to do because this is God's command and that's what he wants in our heart. That's what's in his heart. So I would encourage you to go to Sunny Valley Adventures and to look up what we have in the catalog, and we'll have them on sale for Christmas so you can enjoy them with your family, and your little ones can learn what God taught his children. So God bless you. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift the light of his countenance on you and give you his peace. God bless you.